Welcome to another AVID chat. David Harple and Jack Arnold on a cloudy Tuesday.
Yes, one of the few cloudy days.
It's not often that we're looking out, at least I'm looking out the window and it's raining, but here we are. We're glad you could join us again. Today we're going to talk about something that we see not only in our professional lives, but also in our personal lives. And it really is, how do you go from knowing to doing? Maybe another way to say that is, I have all the knowledge, but I just can't seem to actually make it happen or take the next step. So where do you want to start?
Well, kind of just defining the problem of, kind of the, paralysis analysis thing where you just constantly like, I need to learn more. I need to learn more. I need to learn more. I need to learn more, which is really just a form of procrastination to push out the decision to actually do something and take action on whatever it is you're trying to do. It's good to learn. I mean, you have to learn, where to start, but it's much easier to make progress and really learn, internalize things when just by doing. You do something, you get feedback, and it's just easier to do that way.
So where do you think the hang up lies then? If I have the knowledge, and we could use ourselves as an example, we've been talking about these kind of like AVID chats for a couple of years, and now we're pushing almost 40, some of these 45, but we did a lot of talking about it and not a lot of doing. But then I don't know, did we just say we got to do it and jumped into it, or do you think there's more to it?
I think well, in our particular case, I think it was a matter of just getting to the point where, COVID stuff like forced you to start doing telework type stuff, got used to using the cameras. So we had the equipment, but it's not like we got those and we were just itching to do it. It definitely took a, kind of a kick in the rear. Yeah, we talked about it for a long time, and but it was one of those things, like if we talked about it for so long, and then when we started doing it, my fear was, in particular, was I just don't want them to suck. Like, I don't want them to be like just ridiculously bad. Maybe they are, I don't know, but I don't think they're horrible. But before I started, it was all about, it's like a perfection thing. You feel like you have this perfectionism, like that somehow that's a highbrow procrastination, really. Like, you're really just pushing it off. Like, it's never going to be, especially the first one, like it's not going to be perfect. You just got to start and get better over time. Even now, like, I think if you went back to the first few 10, I don't know, a bunch of these we did, it was horrible. We just didn't have even now, like, we don't have great equipment, but we had no equipment. Like, we were just like kind of, and it was fine.
Winging it.
So yeah, just kind of winging it.
So I think the word that stood out, what you just said, was a fear of failure, really.
Yes.
Right. So you have the knowledge of whatever it is, whether it's doing a new project or mastering a new trade or starting a new job or financial something, but then actually doing it is like, man, like, if I do this and it doesn't work out, I don't want to be a failure.
Yeah. Especially when you've done things like that in the past, like, if you've tried things and then failed or not followed through or whatever it is, I think sometimes maybe you start to tell yourself like, that's a me problem. Like, this is something wrong with me, which there's not. Like, that's perfectly normal. And you start being hesitant to try new things. One, because you're scared. You think it'll be bad, and it probably will, but that's okay. Or like you said, you feel like, oh, I'll fail at it, and that's just another kind of vote for me being bad at everything or something. I'm scared to like try something different when, it's like that's a perfectly normal situation. I don't know what the kind of cutoff is, but there's a time when you're younger, where you're just like, whatever, I'll try whatever. I don't care. Like, you just try different stuff. You don't really think much about it. And then at some point you get to I don't know what the age is or what happens. You just start getting tired of trying new stuff for whatever reason. I don't know exactly what that is, but yeah. Fear of failure, and more fear of failure. And then what does that say about me as a person?
Yeah. And I think, this is both on the personal side, whether it's losing weight, quitting a bad habit, starting to exercise, but then applicable to what we do, planning and financial stuff. We can help people craft their plan, if you will, all day long. But at some point there comes a time where you, Jack the client, are going to have to go from now you know things, how do you do it? You have to implement, you have to take action, and that there's a very difficult step in there.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, yeah, we can come up, craft this whole plan of action. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the steps we're going to take. This is what we're going to do. But yeah, at some point you just have to go out there and start doing it. And there's, it can only go so far until the point where you're just going to have to try, and, things don't work out. Usually we would tell people, like, let's do this and see what happens. Like, let's try this, see how it goes. If that doesn't work, we'll try something else. My hunch is that'll work like 50%. So we'll keep the good 50%, and then we'll add a different 50% to maybe get you a little bit further along. It's like a coach's coach and players play thing. A coach can prepare you all week and get you ready for the game and do all those things, but you have to play. Like, you got to go out there and do the, play the plays and play the game and like execute and do the things that need to be done. And you will mess up. That's, you're not going to be perfect. You're not a robot. So that's part of the deal. That's how you're going to learn and get better, is by messing up.
Right. So that sounds like probably the first step to transitioning from the knowing to doing, is realizing that, okay, whatever we're going to try is not the end all be all. It's not going to stick in stone and last for the end of time. We're going to have to tweak it, but we don't know what to tweak until we just start to do something. And normally that's starting to do something different, which also gives you some sort of uncomfortable feeling.
Right. Yeah, just try it. Like, start small. I think there's good and bad. There's part of it that is, you're rah, I'm super motivated, let's get it done. And you want to do all of it at once, and you want it to be done in a month. And it's just not going to be. It's going to take a while to kind of turn that container ship all the way around to a different way of doing things. It just takes time to do that. And you just want to do one little thing at a time so that you don't overwhelm yourself and give up. Instead of trying to do 50 things and doing 0, try to do 2 things at a time. Even though it will take you however long to do that, that's just what it's going to be. It's, kind of starting small. Get some wins, get some wins under your belt. Give yourself a little bit of confidence. Like, if you just go a little bit and it works, well, great. That's a kind of, all right, I can do the next step. So try to make those steps as small as possible.
Yeah. And that is a lot of like coaching or mentoring, or if you've had anybody, counselors in your corner before that you share whatever it is, personal, financial too, what they'll try to do is help you get to, all right, where can we just start? We can't change, let's say it's maybe a counselor, 30 years of your past history and habits that you developed, but let's start with one thing that we know can help towards these goals we've been talking about, and see how it goes. And then come back in, a month or whatever, and let's talk about it and let's revisit.
Yes. There's a million examples. If you've ever, you had a coach in baseball when you were 9 years old or something, they say, choke up on the bat, one thing. They're not out here trying to make you Willie Mays in a month. Like, it just takes time to get good at doing things. You just got to practice. It's like one step at a time. And being encouraged instead of discouraged that it's taking so long. Like, this is because you're moving along. That's like, it's more permanent, I think, the longer that it takes to get it going, because it becomes more just of your daily habit than if you change everything in 2 weeks and then you just go right back to doing what you're doing before.
Yep, no doubt. So any other suggestions to transitioning out of that knowing to doing, besides being mindful that there is some obstacles ahead? You got to be flexible. You need to start small, or small steps, not trying to accomplish everything at once. Anything else you think that helps us move forward?
Those are big. I'm somewhat biased, but this is just kind of across the board. I think if you're really trying to do something that's way out of your comfort zone, to try something different, it does help to get some kind of coach or something in your corner to do it. So, coach, or some kind of community, get peers around you, maybe people that are doing the same types of things, kind of at the same level. You don't want to go out and try to learn how to play basketball against the best players on the court. You kind of want to get around people who are roughly your same skill level, maybe a little bit better, in order for you to improve. So, having a good community, but also having a little bit of a coach or mentor or something on your side is helpful.
Yeah,
it's easy to
kind of
go.
to cut you off real quick. The safety in numbers a lot of times help.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to know, like, if you all, anything. That's why a lot of these things, like you have a runners club or people that like start, okay, we're going to eat better. This is like a, weight loss challenge thing or something you get with a group of people to help you along so that you can kind of share your failures and the things that are not working and share your successes too and celebrate each other's successes. It's easier to move along. And it's also easier because no matter where you are, there's somebody that is behind you, obviously, and somebody that's ahead of you. If you can learn things, and then you can talk to somebody that's a little bit behind you and say, well, here's what I was doing. This wasn't working. So I tried this and it was really helpful. Here's how you can do this. Obviously, it helps the person behind you, but it also helps you internalize.
Absolutely.
Teaching somebody is the best way to learn something type of thing. And you can apply that to anything. So whether that's, I want to be better with money, I want to get in better shape, anything, you can really apply that to anything. And if you're looking for factors to try to include in the process, it's try to get a decent community around you. If you can, get a coach or mentor or something that can that's ahead of you, that can teach you like, all right, here's the things that you can do and kind of keep you accountable.
Yep. I think that's a great chat. There's a big difference between knowing and doing. There's obviously things to think about going into it, small, simple things to implement to help you move forward. As always, if we can be any help along the way, whether it's financial or personal or whatever it is, that's what we're here for. Jack,
Yep.
Good to chat with you, as always.
All right. See you, Dave.